issue of you're just trying to catch me in a lie, right? It's an interrogation and it's a game, and because there's no way you could know. And so then that becomes, you have a choice. You tell the truth or you dig in deeper and you double down on your lie. What does my family choose to do 9 times out of 10? Double down on the lie, dig in deeper, right? Yeah. So how does that make me feel? That makes me feel like I'm crazy. So but at this point, I'm going back and forth. I believe that I'm losing my crap. I'm only spiritual.
It's understandable how you could believe that.
I'm only spiritual in private at this point because I don't know how to be public with it because I'm afraid of it. I don't understand it. Every time I go to someone, at this point, I didn't have therapists telling me I was sane. At this point, all I had was my family. And all they were telling me was I'm insane. I'm wrong. I'm crazy. Down to the most recent events, I got called pathetic by one of the very people that claim to love me, right? And it's fine. I'm gonna get there. I'm just trying to paint a picture.
Those words are words.
Right. But
you
these
know the truth.
Yes. Now, yes. But these are the people that say, I love you. I will lift you up. Right? But they justify their actions with the lies. They justify the lies because they say I'm doing it with good intentions. I'm doing it to protect you, or I'm doing it. But that's a lie to yourself. You're only protecting yourself or something that you're afraid of that the truth will bring to light.
The deception is always here first.
Right.
And then projected outward.
Correct.
It's always here first.
That's why
the truth, and you already, once you decide to lie,
right,
you have made a decision to deceive yourself of telling the truth.
Right. So that is exactly my point, is that this is not about me. It's my story, but it's about you. It's about everyone listening to this. It's about everyone seeing this. It's not about me. When this is done, my name needs to be forgotten. My face needs to be forgotten. It has nothing to do with me, other than I'm sharing a lesson that I learned. I'm sharing a story that I know has roots in every one of your lives.
I'm listening to you tie your early childhood experiences, your, I don't know how to say it, but the emotions you have pushed in, all right? The reaction of your outside family members, and how it impacts you, and the emotions you have, and how the experiences you have gone through, and knowing they have gone through similar, and also realizing, which is pretty critical, that they are not telling you the truth.
Yes.
In the sense that you and them have seen pretty much the same thing.
Right.
And they're telling you something that is just not true.
Correct.
Now, you're tying these all together, and I'm listening to you tie them together. I'm just pointing it out as you go down.
Yeah, go for it.
Because, no, I'm going to wait till later. Because, but I'm just letting you know, I'm listening to you, and I'm following. I'm following your story, and I'm hearing the tying of all these aspects of your life. Spiritual, mental, emotional,
all of
and
them,
outside being tied together, and the way you're stringing them. And I'm hearing you put them together. And just keep going, because it's a rare thing. It's a rare thing.
So now I'm going to go back up to, I just wanted to step back to the dog thing because I need to bring out my shame at all these parts. I need to walk in it. I need to expose it so that I'm not exposing others, because I could sit here and I could be like, hey, I know you did this. You know what I mean? That's not what this is about. This is not about blaming. This is not about judging. This is not about me being angry and wanting to call you out. This is about me loving you and wanting to lift you up. But in order to do that, you have to love yourself. You have to know yourself, and you have to want to be lifted up so that we can do that back and forth and evolve together, right? Because if I say I want to lift you up, but I put you that far below me, there's no way I'm ever going to be able to reach you or you me. So you should never be so far below me that I can't lift you. And I should never be so far below you that you can't lift me. It doesn't work that way. If we do anything but lift each other up, we're only worried about ourselves. And in that case, we're no longer a unit. We can no longer function as a single tribe. We start becoming other tribes. But we'll go into that later. I'm going to go back to the story. So that happened. Then between, let's say about between 9 and 11, right? Because I'm going to come back up to 11. So about between 9 and 11, I get into a situation, another one of my shameful moments. Actually, I skipped a part. I first tried to commit suicide at 5 years old. Didn't really try. I wanted to. That's how much, no, I'm lying, it was 7. It was the same time with the dog and all that stuff at 7 years old. I just wanted it to end. I wanted the pain to end and the anger and the frustration and the confusion because I didn't know what was happening. And I felt so alone and so isolated. I couldn't talk to anybody. I just wanted it to end. And I ended up in an outburst, and I went to go get a knife from the kitchen. And I brought the knife to the kitchen, and I put it under my pillow, and I was going to wait till everybody went to sleep so I could cut my wrist. This is at 7 years old. 7 years old. So my sister found out. She was, I don't know what she was doing. She was being annoying. She was being a big sister. And she somehow, I guess she was around my bed or she was doing something, and the pillow moved, and she saw the knife. And she was like, what is that? What's that about?
Why is that?
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know what to say. I wasn't expecting to get caught. So I just was like, right?
And then?
She went, Ma!
Yeah.
She went, Ma! I got my ass whooped, and then I got my ass whooped. My mother came out, Latinas. So
Did
her
she
response...
assume?
No, they got it out of me. All right. They got it out of me of what I was doing with it because, when you got...
They pressured you.
Yeah, when you're getting jumped. Yeah. When you're getting jumped. So they got it out of me, and then I immediately proceeded into ass whooping, to which my mother replied that she was the only one that had a right to take me out of this life. I did not have that right.
She make another one.
Yeah, she make another one just like me. And that she better never catch me or anything like that again or something like that. So okay. That moment passes. Move on. The very next incident that happens is I get my mother starts going off on me. I'm about 9, maybe I want to say, because this is right before we moved. So maybe 8, 9 years old. She's going off on me. She's just yelling and yelling and yelling. And I'm like, okay, Ma, I get it for whatever. I don't even know what it was. I just wanted to go to my room. I'm like, punish me or hit me and send me away. Because just the anger and the rage that was coming out of her, right, directed to me, because that's how I was. That's how we all were when I was that age in my family. That's how we were. We were very loud, very assertive, very in your face kind of people. And so she was in my face, and and you were not allowed to leave until she was done. And I just needed to leave because I didn't agree with what she was saying. But my problem with not agreeing with adults at that time was I had a problem where people, he talks back and he talks back and he talks back, because I didn't agree with the adults. And to this day, what I found out is that I was right 90% of the time as a child. I've even gotten apologies back, right? And that's not to say, oh, I'm right or whatever like that. It's to say that something was wrong that I was identifying, but I was being told I was the one that was wrong. Right?
You have no right.
I have no right because I'm a kid.
Yeah.
Because I'm a kid. So what happens when you look at a child that way? What happens when you put a child beneath you? Mm-hmm. The very child you were supposed to be lifting up.
Now let me just point out, those people above, that the child is beneath, their status, their righteousness, their path. This is all a big player in how the child sees.
Exactly.
So, like, you could say, not a good person, has authority over a child. Mm-hmm. Of course, that corruption of abuse of authority is inflicted on the child. And the child...
And it passes on, and it passes on, and passes on.
Can easily be passed on, yes. Can easily be passed on unless they have some type of insight that sees all this to realize this is what it is. So it doesn't go past them. They may have to suffer, but they don't pass it to the next.
That's the key. That you don't pass it to the next. And in order to not pass it to the next, you have to stop it with you. In order to stop it with you, you have to understand it, the light and the dark. You have to understand it. You have to understand your good and your bad, whatever you want to call it, your energy, your sins, your whatever name you want to give it. You have to understand the positive things in yourself and the negative things in yourself, and you have to be able to see and know how it works in order to stop it from going to the next person, in order to be able to properly lift up the people you're saying you're lifting up.
You're absolutely right. If you say, like, repent, how can you know what to repent from? Even if you had a list, you can look at your life and say, in the past, I've done all these things, but from here on, if I don't have an insight of my own self, I cannot apply any will to really change. I am just flowing along with whatever happens instead of guiding with a rudder my own will.
So right there, that is key. You mentioned my own will. I cannot follow my own will, right? That I mentioned last night or something. I don't remember if it was off tape or whatever, but I talked about how the sins that we wear, the sins that we live in and we choose, right? We wear them as chains. We imprison ourselves in them. We are slaves to our sins. To be a slave, in the truest sense, is to have your free will taken from you. It's to be denied free will, right? And so if you lie to me...
Wait a minute. Slave, because as we know slave today is not the way slave was.
That's why I'm saying in the truest sense.
Words, because the truest sense is we have morphed it. If we want to say the truest sense, the original word slave would be the truest sense, not what we have applied to it now in the sense that it has been corrupted into this, because a slave is a submissive person. Not just the fact that you could say, you have no will, you follow the will I give you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that person is an individual, and they can fight back and resist. But if they are submissive, they are a slave. They are giving you the will that you are giving them.
Okay, so I'm gonna use different verbiage because submissive is gonna come up.
Not treated like we see in the movie Roots.
No. It's
in the old times. They're not. They're family members.
Right.
They're out. They are.
Right. So, but in that distinguishing that difference between being submissive or being, I'll say, imprisoned, being without a will, being imprisoned to where your will is not, you cannot choose anymore. It is no longer a free will that you have. Right.
One more thing. In Revelations, in the beginning, there's a term which means bond slave. And it's a Greek word. And it means, and there's also the Hebrew word. It means bond slave. This is different. This is a person who owed a debt, gave his service, a slave. He became a slave in order to pay off his debt. Now, he has been under this master. This master is a righteous person. He sees this master as a righteous person. And after paying his debt, he wants to continue in the servitude of this master and not be freed of his obligations and go live, however, and now he chooses to become what they call a bond servant. And what he is doing is declaring, and the master who is accepting his offer to be a bond servant is declaring at the same time, the master is declaring, I will back this man up with everything I have.
We're not talking business back then.
All right.
So,
all right.
So, well, just to hit on the points that I think you were trying to make. So, me, for instance, the point that I've reached is I acknowledge my free will. I acknowledge it as the greatest gift God has given us. And I submit myself to him. And I pray to him that my will align with his. I am willing to make the choices that may not benefit me in a way that I see right, or that may not benefit me in a way that I feel I deserve, but will benefit him, will benefit his will benefit that is beyond me, which I understand to be the collective, all of us. If he's the parent, he wants all his kids to shine. And if we're all his kids, then you're all my brothers and sisters. And if you're all my brothers and sisters and he wants you to shine, I want you to shine. Right? So I want my will to be aligned with his will. I want to be submissive to him. Difference being that when I'm working on the external here in this physical world and I'm not looking on the internal, I'm allowing myself, my corruption, and the corruption of others to blind me to those choices, to that free will, to say that I no longer choose anger, I no longer choose hate, I no longer choose lust, I no longer choose any of these things.
I got it. Yeah, it all starts with yourself.
Yes.
And as far as...
It's not about me, it's about you.
No, it starts
for you
with
guys,
yourself
right.
first.
So for you guys, it's you. You would say it's about me.
I'm going to follow the will of our Father.
Mm-hmm.
I have to first. It's got nothing to do with anybody else. Me.
Yes.
All right. And from there.
But this message is not about me. It's about you guys.
But when I go out to follow the will, I need to know what the will is.
Yes.
And as far as anger, if you look in the Bible, Yeshua got angry. It's not to say it's a sin, not saying, or fear, because he prayed too to have this taken from him. Not to say that he was afraid, but this is also to put these things down. Like, we are not to just all of a sudden look and put a dividing line between what is good and what is bad and emotions.
No,
and so
see,
on.
that goes back to understanding the dark energy or the negative energy. Because, as I said yesterday, if you understand it, it's not something to get rid of or demolish or put away. It's energy, just like we are. It's something to find harmony with and learn how to balance. Fear can play a good role in your life. So can
fear is a good thing, but like when you say we have to, I have to adamantly reject to say a harmony. This world runs on opposites.
Yes.
And to say you have to harmonize with the negative. Now, I don't know
what you mean. Let me give you an example. Let me just give you an example real quick. You were talking about anger and how God himself gets angry. Yes?
I said Yeshua got angry in the temple. He showed what would be considered anger. It doesn't say he got angry.
Okay.
It says he prayed the day before that, take this cup from me.
So
does that mean he was afraid?
We are all subject.
Your will.
We are all subject to anger and fear and all these things,
yes.
Right? Would you agree that anger can be used for good?
Apparently, it can be.
I agree.
It has its usage. When I say
I've used it for good, and I'm going to get to there in my story. But the very fact that you can take something like anger and we can relate to that as negative energy for the most part.
This is where I would differ, because I'm now going to place anger in a negative state, and I mean I could, most people would, but if I look in the scriptures and say, well, Yeshua got angry at the things he saw going on in the temple, and he overturned tables. And he threw people out. Was this not him being angry? If this was not him being angry, he was angry at something. He was angry at the transgression, the disrespect of God's house. How the Jews had done this, what they were doing in the house. So now he is angry. Is this a bad thing?
Is it a good thing?
Are we saying that angry can't be in Yeshua because it's a negative thing? So in the sense that this man who is the Son of God cannot have a negative emotion.
Who said that he couldn't have a negative emotion?
No, I'm not.
If he's a man, if he's a human and not God himself.
And you're saying that the negative we have to harmonize with. And the negative is really the koshek. The koshek is that ignorance.
Here's the difference.
It is a spiritual undertone of evil. That's what the word
if I
means.
speak to you in anger right now, do you think that's going to be beneficial to this conversation? Do you think it's going to be beneficial to uniting us?
Let me ask you a question. If you were telling me a specific point you knew to be true that you wanted to drive home because I was in denial of the truth, and you used anger in order to incite me to see your words, would be, because this would be like Yeshua in the temple.
Here's the piece you're missing.
He angrily does things to show this is wrong.
Here's the piece.
But if I get angry just because I am not being heard, or I want to be heard, whether my words are true or not, then this anger is negative. It's just an emotion.
What I'm saying is this. You're focused on how you release it. I'm focused on how you internalize it. Hear me out.
All right.
Hear me out. If we go back to blue light and energy, right? Positive and negative, just for the sake of the story. Okay? If I release anything that can be perceived onto you as negative energy, it is only going to beget more negative energy unless you have a self-awareness enough, you understand yourself enough to receive that same negative energy.
See,
and
saying that
transfer that energy within yourself
reflected on somebody. Now, I cannot say. All I can say is I am putting out an energy. What happens when it gets out there? If I say to a person, my negative energy, how does it affect you? You like it? You don't like it? You don't even feel it. You change it. What do you do? I have no clue. Of course, I could assume most of the time most people are going to be ignorant and just going to take this negative energy and now turn it into a greater negative energy. I could assume that.
Let me ask you this.
No more drinking for you. You gotta go to work.
I do gotta go to work.
Let me ask you this: Did you apologize this morning? Did you look back? Did you try to? Did you do that?
I prayed today twice.
Did you say I'm sorry for whatever I missed yesterday? Did you try to?
I ask for forgiveness of my sins. I ask for the forgiveness of the debts of my sins, as I forgive those who sin against me.
But did you try to identify what those sins are? Did you try to internalize, or did you just say forgive me and move on? Did you really try to put in that work?
Did I lie since then? No, I did not lie. I have been unclean. I smoke. I am not treating my temple, to be specific.
Mm-hmm.
I am a temple. My body is a temple. And if I choose not to keep it cleansed, that is that a sin?
Can I ask you something as a third party? From last night to today, when was the last time you felt something that you would define as hurtful or negative energy that you received from him?
Right after we spoke yesterday that he told me my fatso belly.
Okay, so let's just stop right there. Because we got to go through the story, right? So for the sake of that, we can talk offline on other stuff.
EEO, fat is not a protective class. You cannot file an EEO complaint.
So, case in point. So, what I'm saying is...
I'm going to go straight downstairs to your mother.
All right, moving on. So moving on, I think the point has been illustrated for the camera.
Go ahead, keep going.
So moving on, the very next thing that I wound up into was this moment where my mother's in my face, right? And so all that anger's coming at me, and inside I feel myself getting more angry as she is unleashing on me.
Yes.
And I'm getting more angry.
Understandable.
Yes.
I'm getting more angry, and it's building up. But she's unleashing on me and not taking a moment to bring it back because she feels the need to let it all out.
When you say bring it back, she's not giving you an opportunity.
Oh, yeah. No time, no chance to talk, no chance to interrupt. I can't leave.
Yeah.
I wanted to go to I was like, hit me, punish me. That was not an option, right? Because she had to control the situation. She had to release that anger. And until she was satisfied... with that, I had to endure it. And what that did at that age where I still didn't understand myself and see myself was I didn't know how to use that anger in a positive way. So what it did instead was it came right back out as anger. And it was building and was building. The one thing that I did know was I could feel it inside of me. I could feel it growing. I could feel it. I didn't understand it, but I could feel it. And I knew that whatever was coming was bad. I could feel that something bad was coming. And the very next thing that happened to me was she's in my face and I'm trying to control the anger and I'm just thinking about getting out of here. And someone pulls me by my right arm. They just yanked me. And I was so angry at this point that I came with my left hand and I just reacted and I went to go punch whoever was there. I didn't think twice. I didn't think who it could be. I didn't think it was an adult or anything like that. I just went to go punch who was there. And as I went to go punch who was there, and I'm turning from my left to my right.
Broke my glasses, but go ahead.
Yeah, you sure did.
Go ahead.
So as I'm turning from my left to my right, I look to see where my fist is going to land. And when I look, my right hand is coming up open-handed, just like this. And it's headed towards my mother.
You're a bad man.
I literally took my left hand with this fist and I had to grab my right hand and I had to pull my right hand down with my left hand. There was so much
You were gonna hit her?
anger, and no, it was not. That's what I'm trying to explain. My arm felt like it wasn't me. It was moving on its own, separate of my consciousness. So much so that I was controlling my left hand, and I had to grab my right hand with my left hand to stop it. Now, fast forward in time, I understand that's an actual thing, and it does happen, and you can look it up. It's marked, but I did not know that at that time. At that time, this is way beyond my education or level of understanding. Again, I'm thinking I'm evil, and I'm thinking I've got stuff inside of me, right? And I'm like, holy shit, what is this? I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out because I literally lost complete control over an entire part of my body. So much so that it took the rest of me to stop that part. So I'm bugging out.
This is a whole new thing.
This is a whole new thing for me. And this is 9 years old, right? So thankfully, I was able to stop myself. Thankfully, I did not make contact with my mom. Thankfully, she was so angry, she didn't even see it. She didn't even see it. She just kept going. And I calmed myself down in that moment because I was freaking out about what just happened. I tuned her out. I didn't even hear the rest of what she was saying. I was just in my head about what just happened. Let's fast forward. 11 years old now. I'm having these constant dreams with these demons hunting me and stuff like that. And I finally get to a point where I'm just tired of being terrorized. I'm tired of having this thing inside of me. I'm tired of just dealing with all of this. And so I get down and I pray harder than I'd ever prayed at this point. I mean, I'd come home from school, I'd turn off the lights, I'd shut the shades, I'd throw on some music, and I'd just sit and I'd think about everything, and I'd contemplate, and I'd let my feelings out, and I'd cry, and I'd scream, and all that stuff in private for hours. This is at 11 years old, right? And I'd go to sleep like that. Sometimes I wouldn't even eat. And I wanted a way to stop this. I was ready to fight. And I started to...
Still 11.
Still 11. Again, no books, no fancy education at this point. And somehow I got the idea. I don't know where I got it from, but somehow I got the idea that I can do this. I can control my dreams. I can put a stop to it. And so I started telling myself, much like I did with my anger and my other stuff every day, every single day that I woke and every single day that I slept, I'm not going to let it happen. I'm not going to let it happen. The same thing with my dreams. When I dream tonight, I'm going to take control. When I dream tonight, I'm going to take control. When I dream tonight, I'm going to take control. And I did that. And it didn't work the first day, and it didn't work the second day, and it didn't work the third day, but I kept doing it, and I kept doing it. And finally, I reached a point where this nightmare came again. And I finally reached a point where I was able to, in the dream, identify that this is just a dream and it's a nightmare and I have control. And I kid you not, puberty, right? 11 years old. Every nightmare, every night from that day forward, turned into wet dreams and wild girls and parties and good things. It would start off with demons and it'd end off in all kinds of crazy fun. And I was able to do that.
Crazy.
I was able to do that with every dream that I had that was a normal dream, because we're going to get into this other stuff, but that was a normal dream for the rest of my days, right? Until I completely let it go when I got older. Now I don't care.
I have to cut you down.